After winning a frame, a snooker player has the freedom to attempt any sort of trick shot to keep the break going, or they just may want to play the game in a more ambitious and exciting way. Whatever the reason, we're looking for the best trick shots from the 2021 season, and as usual I'm going to work that out by attempting to recreate them as accurately as possible in the fewest possible attempts. Every shot I'm attempting is from GT Commissar's Extraordinary Trick Shots video, and there's a link to it in the description, which means the first shot we need to attempt is from Ronnie O'Sullivan, who looks to be completely out of position on the blue, but still manages to pot it cushion first. I don't get near this for a few shots, so I can explain how it all works. I'm attempting to recreate every single shot from that video that I haven't already played. Unfortunately, the video's over 18 minutes long, so I will run out of time to play the shots. I was struggling to get the right amount of side spin on this one, but eventually I got it. We've got a string of great shots on the pink now, starting with this one from Anthony McGill. I was really excited to try this one because the way Anthony backspinned the cue ball into the cushion made it arc across the table as he got in position on the black. The thing I found difficult about this shot was hitting it hard enough with enough backspin, which meant I could finish in position without it spinning, or if I made the cue ball arc it would finish too far up the table. I ended up getting roughly on the black, making it arc a little bit, but wasn't fully happy with this. The next shot's from Yang Bingtao, and it's going to be a challenge because I'm not sure I've got the cue power to play it, or if my table's even fast enough.
Not quite in the Judd trump class, but look where he's dropped anyway.
It's fascinating how many times other players get compared to Judd Trump in this video, and as it turned out, I definitely could hit it hard enough and get the cue ball to arc enough to hit the bolt cushion. All I got wrong is I put a little bit too much right hand side on my first attempt, miscued on my second, and didn't quite get into the cue ball enough on my third, which meant I would have probably got there, but I just wasn't quite far enough over. So after being pleasantly surprised I could actually play the shot, it was just a case of hitting the right position on the bolt cushion, and on my sixth attempt I got close enough. It was a little bit too much, but I ended up absolutely dead straight on the black and it was unmissable. Judd Trump's the next player to have a shot on the pink, and he plays it perfectly around 3 cushions to land in position on the red in the middle pocket. As long as you pot the pink on this one, it's just a case of getting the right amount of left hand side on the cue ball, and as it turned out I got a little bit lucky here I think, and got it right on my first attempt, so I was pleased to make it look relatively easy. Kyren Wilson's attempting to remove the brown from the cushion, but both the pot on the green and position are really tough on this shot. This took me forever to pot the green and get in position on the brown, and what made it even worse is after I'd successfully played the shot, somehow I managed to delete the video clip. And that meant I had to reattempt this incredibly difficult shot. However, what I was really pleased with is I remembered exactly how to play the shot from the previous day, and in just 4 attempts I managed to get in position on the brown. It must have taken me over 20 the first time. I think we can see what Luca Brecel's making a play for here as he screams the red into the green pocket. This is a brilliant exhibition shot, but there's not much to it. You just need to bash it in the right direction and hope it goes in the pocket. Because you only have a rough idea of where the red's going to go, you can't be precise with this one. Like my 4th attempt where I'm not sure how the red didn't drop. However, this one might win some prizes later. Mark Selby's using topspin to make the cue ball arc on the table here. We've seen a few of these shots already, but this is the first one where we're using topspin instead of backspin to make the cue ball change direction. It took me a few attempts to get anywhere near this, And when I did, I found all the right hand side I used off the first cushion actually reversed and went the other way again on the second cushion, checking it up, so I kept hitting the brown. Eventually I played it with slightly less right hand side to try and avoid the brown, but I'm not sure if you're supposed to play it with just topspin and not any right hand side at all. Either way, I just about got on the green well enough. Sometimes it feels like you're cueing the ball really well, but this from Zhao Xintong is just a little bit ridiculous. Potting the pink and screwing the cue ball around 2 cushions for the black was just another one of those shots I wasn't sure I was going to have the ability to play. As it turned out, I could definitely screw the cue ball back onto the black, but only by throwing my entire body weight at the cue ball. I wasn't surprised I missed the third shot, because I was really happy I actually potted the first 2, but I still needed to play this shot even better if I wanted it to work. And that didn't seem likely, because not only do I need to pot the pink here, I also need to strike right through the bottom of the cue ball, and on my 7th attempt I did just that, played it about as well as I could possibly play it, but I was still short of the black.
I think that's as good as I can do with that.
Shaun Murphy's next, playing this trick shot on the black. This is a standard trick shot you can play on the black that you'll see attempted fairly often, but rarely comes off. It's all about striking the black onto the cushion about a foot away from the black spot. If you get it right, you'll spin it around 4 cushions perfectly for it to go into the top pocket. But you only have to be a fraction out for it to miss, and if you hit it too hard, it can square up a little bit off the cushions. And as it's a standard trick shot, I'm not considering it a contender for the Luca Brecel shot, though I was happy to get it this quickly. However, this rest shot from Stuart Bingham definitely is a contender. Not only does Stuart double the yellow here, but he also manages to screw the cue ball back past the green into position. This took me a few attempts to get everything perfectly in the right position, because the cue ball had to come back past the green at the same time as doubling the yellow. But as I got it, cue the music. Stuart's shot was very well controlled, for which he receives 3 cheeky chilies, but just the way Luca played his shot means he receives 4 cheeky chilies and is this year's winner. I'm not sure why I included this next shot from Kyren Wilson. Powering the black into the yellow pocket looks really good, but I probably should have chosen another shot because there's not a lot going on with this one, and as I got on my first attempt, we're just going to move on. In the seniors, Jimmy White is also using topspin to make the cue ball arc, this time on the green.
Oh, aye.
The natural path of the cue ball at this angle would normally take it down around about the pink spot, but because Jimmy uses a lot of topspin on this shot, it stays at the bulk end. This took me a couple of goes, but I was actually pretty pleased with it, because it was the first one where I'd made the cue ball arc just how I was intending. Mark Selby now with a positional shot that's actually a lot better than it looks. Pretty happy with that. In a similar way here, Mark pots the pink and bends the cue ball around the blue. It then goes 2 cushions for the yellow, using a small amount to left-hand side. I thought I was going to have the biggest difficulties here getting the cue ball to go far enough, but as it turned out, I could definitely screw back enough as long as I avoided the blue. It was just a case of getting the cue ball far enough over back again for the yellow. As I already explained, this requires a small amount of left-hand side to make the cue ball break wider off the bulk cushion. Unfortunately, I just couldn't make it come across the table enough, no matter how well I played it, and this was actually the best I could do.
Our next shot is from Neil Robertson, trying to remove an awkward red away from the cushion.
Similar to a few previous shots, this is a difficult one again because the shot's very straight and you need to get a very precise amount of left-hand side to make the cannon. This was one of the hardest things to get right, as well as actually potting the ball, because you needed to play at a fairly firm pace. As it turned out, I was actually hitting it a little bit too hard, and Neil played this a lot slower, so he nudged the red nicely over the corner pocket. The problem was the speed I was playing the shot at meant when I eventually cannoned the red, I didn't finish in position, and had to play the black in the middle. However, I got it, so I was happy enough with the way this shot went.
Bridging over a ball can be difficult at the best of times, but this shot from Judd Trump really isn't straightforward, having to pot it all the way down the cushion.
At least with this shot I can play it really slow and give the pocket every possible chance of accepting the green. The difficult bit about this shot is actually getting the green anywhere near the pocket. The jaw of the middle pocket and the black feel like obstacles here, even though you have to be a lot more precise than that if you want to pot the green. I got really close on my 5th attempt and actually left this a little bit too short. It stopped before it got to the pocket, so I nearly got this incredibly difficult shot after just 5 attempts. But because I was bridging over the brown, it meant getting close to this again was incredibly challenging. What made this even more challenging is I think the green was initially rolling into the cushion and then started rolling away again when it got to the slate where the black spot is, which meant in order to pot it I had to play the green slightly away from the cushion and allow it to roll in, which I got after 12 attempts.
Our next shot is John Higgins on the blue trying to get in position, and it's actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
The difficulty I was having was giving the cue ball enough left-hand side so when it struck the bolt cushion it went towards the side cushion above the middle pocket, but at the same time not putting too much side spin on the cue ball that it came the wrong side of the black. To get anywhere near playing this shot, I had to make the cue ball go very close to the brown and get very close to the middle pocket at the same time. My 4th attempt did this well enough. I hit it a bit hard and nicked the black, but it's more or less the right shot.
Neil Robertson's next, and he's got this really thin cut on the brown.
But Neil isn't going to simply pot the brown, he plays it around 4 cushions back in perfect position for the blue. To play this shot I needed to pot the brown with a small tracer left-hand side, and it was very difficult to do this and avoid the middle pocket at the same time. I kept getting very close and hitting the jaw, and this just meant it didn't look like I was playing anything like the right shot at all. Once I started to get this right, I then had the problem of getting the cue ball to go far enough down the table, so it needed a little bit more left-hand side. I was really happy to get this after 7 attempts, especially as it went more or less perfect.
We've got another Judd Trump shot coming up next after we find Daniel, who's in Yuma, Arizona. Which is there.
Here we have a very Judd Trump-like Judd Trump shot as he spins the cue ball around the back of the black while potting the green and gets it to end up on the brown on the bolt cushion. However, he ends up a long way from the brown and not with the easiest of shots, so all I've really got to do is give myself a shot at this, but the first thing I notice is it's really difficult to hit the shot hard enough. I start trying to put a little bit more body weight in behind it, but this makes me hit the black. My 3rd attempt was about as good as I could possibly do. Unfortunately, that's about as hard as I could hit the cue ball, and it's not too far out.
Mark Selby next with an interesting way to get in position on the yellow.
I really like the look of this shot, but when I began to play it, I found it was really difficult to get in good position on the yellow. I kept striking the cushion too far away from the corner pocket, which meant the cue ball wasn't quite going up the table far enough and ending up in position. It took me a few attempts to get it in the right place, but once I got the cue ball really close to the corner pocket, I actually got in very good position on the yellow. In fact, it was a lot better position than Mark ends up in.
Once again, we have Judd Trump attempting a banana shot.
He probably didn't want the cue ball to spin back onto the top cushion and actually played it with a little bit too much topspin, but as that's what he did, I'm trying to do the same thing. So the first thing I've got to do is hit it straight enough, and this took me a few attempts to get right, because bashing the top of the cue ball at this speed doesn't exactly make the pot easy. Eventually I ended up playing a shot where the cue ball stopped. I couldn't make it spin back again though.
Unfortunately, that's all the shots I had time to play this week, but there are more, so I will get to them at some stage. Third place was Mark Selby. This shot was one I couldn't fully play because I couldn't get enough side spin on the ball, but it's definitely a well-controlled trick shot. Second goes to Kyren Wilson. I found this shot incredibly difficult to play well, and it ends up with a perfect result. First place, however, has got to go to Judd Trump with this green down the cushion. This was by far the hardest shot to play, although we've got a lot more shots to look at yet.
Once I've made that video, I'll put a link to it at the top here, but until then, why not have a look at these two videos where I've recreated shots from previous tournaments. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel, and visit the website. See you later.